What is going on, Sweet Spaghetti fam? We want to thank you so much for joining us on this incredible episode interviewing the very talented Sara Porkalob. Now, unfortunately, we did have some technical issues with our audio recording. So we want to thank you ahead of time for giving us a little grace while we perfect the art of podcasting. And above all, for still supporting this episode because we know you're going to love it.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Kuya Estilo.
And I'm Trish Bautista. I'm Sara Porkalob, or you can call me the Dragon Baby.
You are on Sweet Spaghetti, the podcast that's a little bit sweet.
A little bit spicy sometimes, messy, definitely.
A little bit spicy, a little bit messy.
Crazy.
And always prepared for a family meal. And so we're excited here today to have Sara Porkalob, who is the writer, creator, director, actor of the series The Dragon Cycle, which is about the women heroes of her family.
One play for each generation. Each play focused on a female protagonist and her specific hero's journey / villain arc. Dragon Lady Part 1 about my grandma premiered in LA at the Geffen Playhouse last year. Dragon Mama Part 2 about my mama is on stage right now at the Geffen until April 12th, unless we extend, which we should if everybody comes, if the demand is high. And it's also the first one-woman show I've ever seen, because I am unfortunately not a theater kid, but now I am making up for lost time.
You're a dork now. Well,
I thank you. I'm so happy. It just changed my whole perspective on theater. Truly, this is the play for people even who are not familiar with theater too. Is it okay to say that? Hell yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where I want to come.
And 5, 6, 7, 8.
Sweet spaghetti. Why is that spaghetti so sweet?
Sweet spaghetti.
Well, I have a question because I saw on the interviews. What was it? Was it called like Chicanos y Chicanos or Chicos y Chicos? It was like some old like Filipino heads that you did a podcast with back in the day.
And you had said the first show you ever saw was that you remember was a Wizard of Oz, and you thought it was messed up that they like killed the witch and stole her shoes. And I was like, I actually never thought of the Wizard of Oz being gangster like that. Like where I grew up, yeah, you get beat up and get your shoes stolen. And then I know you like
Dragon Lady, you deal with kind of like gangster fam, all that stuff. So my question was like, you saw the Wizard of Oz early on, but what elements of your life from outside of the theater world, from other creative arts, from other things you grew up with and were influenced by, what are those types of things that you try to bring into your craft, that you try to bring in the theater that maybe you have seen other people bring in?
I would say a lot of like the TV sitcoms and musical stylings of the late 80s into the 90s, specifically the TV sitcoms and the musical styling genres that belong to brown and black people.
okay,
For example, I grew up watching In Living Color.
of course, yeah.
In Living Color, I wanted to be a fly girl so bad, and it was just so, I mean, as a little kid, maybe I shouldn't have been watching In Living Color and some of those like adult skits or whatever, but I just remember, wow, these actors are so talented and they're funny. And then these musical breaks where these beautiful women are like dancing like hell, yeah. And then I also grew up watching Living Single, which is basically the black people version of Friends. Like Friends kind of, it happened first. Friends ripped off the idea. Let's call it what it is. Love Queen Latifah. If I ever meet Queen Latifah, oh my God. Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Boys to Men. It's funny because like I grew up in a poor family. So The Wizard of Oz was actually the first live theatrical performance that I ever saw that Tina, my other mother, took me to. And that was in Alaska. So for the first couple years of my life, the musicals that I saw were musical movies that were being played on public television. Like Fiddler on the Roof, Sound of Music, Grease 1 and 2, and Little Shop of Horrors. Like I know those 5 movie musicals almost like the back of my hand.
Really?
Yeah. And so yeah, it's funny. I might be considered like a musical theater major, but much of my influence in my own work doesn't come from musical theater at all.
Well, I mean, classical musical theater, I feel like there can be a gap even with contemporary theater goers with.
What would be considered classical?
it's like, to me, and feel free to correct, it's like more of like Oklahoma. It's like that more kind of like, I don't want to call it like operatic, but it's a more classical singing style versus ones that would use like a lot of runs or feel more like influenced by contemporary music.
Yeah.
Is that, am I slow?
But I think you're totally right. I think there also is like pre 2000s, at least musicals that I was seeing or hearing about, up until like junior high school, didn't have a whole lot of diversity in them either in regards to like race and even diversity of stories. Like when I was in college as a musical theater major, I had a professor say that like, you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, because there's only like 3 musicals that you could be in. And maybe he was joking, but also he was probably talking about like Miss Saigon,
Saigon.
yeah, Flower Drum Song, and then like
King and I.
yeah, and then The King and I, or maybe if I was lucky enough to be the next Leah Salonga, Les Mis,
Oh, sure.
And I was like, huh,
This was in Seattle.
yeah,
Yeah. In college.
yeah. Okay, so it's like what influences my work as a writer are like TV, film, movie musicals, music of the 90s written by and for like Black and brown people.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, there definitely was like a point in the 2000s where a lot more of that became. I mean, I think in general is becoming a part of the conversation. Although I think a lot of TV right now is like fully rebounding. They're just like white cast. But it's funny. I also got my BFA in mine is in acting though, not in musical theater. But I remember expressing to a professor I had that I was concerned about like the types of roles I could play. And she's a sweetheart. I don't want to throw her under the bus, but just to contextualize where we were in the early 2000s, her response was like, no, don't feel that way. I could see you playing, you might be able to play like an Italian or da-da-da-da, right? So it was like still like, how close can I get you to whiteness
Yeah.
in order to get roles?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I can understand. I was also cast in Miss Saigon, even though I didn't want to be in it because I wasn't a singer, I wasn't a dancer. I found it humiliating to have to do that. But I was like one of the brown people.
It's like racially ambiguous roles. Like, let's do that. Yeah. Yeah. It's like that's the best we could hope for. Stupid. Like, no.
So do you ever think of that? That makes me just wonder, right now you have, obviously you got the Dragon Cycle, so you got these 3 shows, you've written these 1-person shows. Have you written shows that involve multiple characters that you would like to mount someday or that you have already?
Yeah, I have, I think 2 other plays that I think would be really fantastic. I had this Victorian lesbian revenge thriller. Has to do with ghosts that you're writing. No, that I've written.
Okay.
And it had a production in Seattle. It's called The Angel in the House. It can have anywhere from like 8 to 15 people. It's a period piece, which is why I haven't like really pitched it anywhere because I think it would require a bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
That one's weird. It's creepy. It's scary. And then I have this other one called The Lamplighter, which is a musical that I'm developing with 2 of my friends. But it's a children's musical, or rather I should say this, it's a family musical. We've kind of like we've created this like fantastical alternate reality, and this culture around storytelling and the stars. It's really taking all of our favorite parts of fairy tales and then putting them together and basically creating musical where the message is you get to be the hero of your own story. And the concept is that like the actors are also the musicians. So it's like we're making the play as we're telling the story.
Yeah. I think also it'd be a great concept for like a children's like
Animated film too one day.
yeah.
But those are like the 2 other pieces besides the Dragon Cycle that I'd say are like close to being nearly formed.
What about the Victorian era called to you or the first show you're telling?
Right. So I grew up
In the Victorian era.
I am a Victorian baby.
only child, so I read a lot of books and I read whatever I could get my hands on. And of course, I think like any book girly that goes through a really nerdy chapter, gets really obsessed with like English literature,
Mm.
you know, including but not limited to like Jane Austen and Charles Dickens of Scoobity Baba. And I was like, the the Victorian era is interesting to me in that I really like the clothes.
Oh, they're tight.
Yeah. And just like kind of the social niceties and the kind of really restrained cultural expectations of women during that time. And I was like, well, where do I want to see lesbians? And I was like, the Victorian era. And I was like, what do I want to see them doing? And I was like, getting revenge. So that's why that's why I wrote it. And also, I think sneakily, there's a part of me that's like, white people love period pieces. They love seeing pieces about their people in olden times.
Yeah.
Let me do it, but make them lesbians. Who kill?
Let me paint my color.
Let me, whatever you thought was like classic, let me paint my set, all that. And I think, you know, I was also trying to make commentary, you know, on something that like especially is ringing true today regarding the 1% elite and how corrupted they are at every level of their lives. And so my play, yeah, lesbian revenge thriller, but it's really about a group of people rebelling against their oppressors who have oppressed them in so many different ways for millennia, and trying to start new. And that just means they end up killing a lot of people.
Well, what's the political dynamics like in the Victorian era? That was
The monarchy.
Yeah.
yeah.
The monarchy. I mean, the patriarchy. I mean, women weren't really seen as like individuals. Like their worth was really correlated to their marriage.
Yeah.
And in terms of what they could do with their own money,
Yeah.
very little. They had to be, you know, bearers of children.
Being
Mothers, wives.
boring.
You've gone some ways, I guess.
Thank goodness.
Progress. It's got done, but you know.
Is it a musical? That's a ball or a triplet?
No, but I kind of want it to be like this weird little rock opera.
Okay. Yep, I can see it.
And I want there to be like some metal in it because when I did the play in Seattle, the soundtrack that we made or the playlist that we made was awesome. And it had a lot of like death metal and like
That's
a double bass. And
That'd be tight to have like an all women band in Victorian era stuff, just shredding on guitar and stuff. You'd have to figure out how to not overheat them in that. Can you imagine drumming and you're just in like the Queen Elizabeth like
yeah, I
neck
like but then
fucking
it's a
thing?
metaphor, but then it's a metaphor, isn't it? For like the repressive culture.
But they're like, I don't want to be the metaphor anymore. They're like, yeah, nah, that's cool. 2 hours of this metaphor is too long for me.
That's funny. You know, I was also wondering in terms of musicals, I heard you say that doing karaoke at home was a big influence for you. And so, you know, this is always the question I gotta ask everybody about karaoke. It's like, number one, what's your song?
Yep.
And number two, I can't sing. I'm not a good singer. So I have to rely on the performance.
Yeah.
For you, what is your song and what are the key performance advice pieces you have for how to just absolutely kill a karaoke set? What's your take?
Yeah, my hot take is you perform to the space and to the people. For example, there's like two different types of karaoke. There's private room karaoke,
Yes, true.
where it's you and just your homies. TV screen, y'all can do whatever you want. Yeah. Yep. Then there's public karaoke. You on stage in a bar with everybody else who wants to sing Pink Pony Club by our Chapel Larry. Yeah, exactly. So here's what I think. Each space has a different set of restrictions and opportunities.
So good.
In the private room, you have an opportunity to show off for your friends. Meaning, maybe you have something in your back pocket you've never shown anybody, but you get to do it to this crowd because you know they're forgiving. You also know that they'll hype you up or be like, yeah, that was bad. Take that for your director.
Don't take that to Wednesday night.
But at that point with alcohol, like everything would be good.
Yeah.
I think it could be good.
Yep. So in that private space, it's an opportunity to workshop a song But it's also an opportunity to like choose a banger that everybody loves. So then that like energizes the entire room.
Yes.
Because in a private room karaoke situation, what you also have to realize is that there's a time for karaoke and then there's time for like drunk friend conversation where you just put a song on in the background, the disco lights is going, and you're just like, I'm so proud of you that you did that thing. You broke up with that guy and he has trash. And your friend is like, your ass is getting so fat and that song was so good. And I love that you're achieving your dreams. So
Public space karaoke, I think, has more limitations. You can't do that at public space. I mean, you can if you want to.
you can if you want to. But I think in a public space, you have to listen to the cue.
Okay.
Because if it's a bunch of people singing Journey,
Right.
Billy Joel,
Yeah.
Chapel Roan, and you got to ask yourself, am I going to fit into the mix or am I going to carve my own path?
Right.
And sometimes it's good to fit into the mix because if the vibe of the room is like, we love Taylor Swift, then maybe you sing a Taylor Swift song. It's okay. I wouldn't, but you know, or you're like, you know what? I'm going to liven up the room and I'm going to put on song. I feel there's millennials in here that are going to vibe and it's going to shift everything. And then people are going to be braver to come up here and do like that little Nas X song, or they're going to do that like Boyz II Men song, right?
You're setting the tone.
Setting the tone.
Yeah.
So I think that in the public space karaoke, you have a bigger responsibility.
Right.
Oh, okay. In the private room, you can do whatever you want.
But I'm guessing what it feels like you're saying is like if you're gonna go do the thong song,
Yeah.
like you gotta do the
Commit-
thong song.
Commit to the bit.
If it's the Taylor, if it's the Swifty room, the Journey room, like
You got
hey, you need to bust out that
You have-
on the thong song.
You have to commit. You have to commit in the public space, for sure. The way that I think about it is, I give myself a limit when I'm in a public karaoke space. I'm like, I got 2 songs max, nothing more than that. And my friends are always like, why? And I'm like, because I'm going to intimidate everybody else here and then I'm no more.
I was gonna say you're also a performer,
Yeah.
a singer, actor. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's it's a different level.
It is. And I like sitting and singing along with the song that whomever homie up there is singing. I love that. Like some people always do Radiohead Creep. And I'm like, yeah, I have some harmonies ready. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's fun.
I totally am like that too. Yeah, I too harmonize with the. I could totally figure out with the harmonies as well. Yeah.
How do you feel when someone goes up and they're off key?
I feel so proud of them.
Oh, okay, good.
Because here's also what I have to say. I might be like a professional singer and all that, but in either of those karaoke spaces, public or private, there's no room for judgment.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of is the space where it's like, hey, this is where you come if you really want to sing, but like you're not going to charge people money to do you. Like if you can't be safe in a karaoke space, where can you sing?
Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like it doesn't. I mean, it actually it feels really good to be nice. You know, like the way that I give myself these 2 little things is I always open with the same song, and that's Gnarls Barkley's "Crazy."
But nice. Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be hard. This for a normal person. Yeah.
Some people know it, some people don't. But some people are like, oh, I never thought about that as a karaoke song. And she's like, a little vocal warm up. Yeah, you know, and the people warm up. Yeah, it's like warming.
Yeah.
I mean, people in the crowd are like, oh my gosh, you're so nice. Can I buy you a drink? And I'm like, you can buy my friends drinks. And then I'm like, oh, yay, good friend. And then my second.
And not next time you go karaoke.
Yeah.
Wake up.
And then a second song is kind of a wild card. Again, I'm listening to what's happening in the room, like what's you know. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, that's my song. If they call my name, like I'm gonna ask them if they have this different song because the last 3 songs are kind of in the same vibe. You know, let's switch it up. I'm thinking about the pacing of the evening.
Got it. I think it's when you say you give yourself like a 2 song. You said a maximum. You do like
Yeah, I have a 2-song limit.
Also professional, so it's like at that past that point, you gotta pay up.
Yeah.
It's like you get me for free though. I pay you.
People are like, oh my gosh, are you a performer? And I'm like, come see my show. Yes.
Hilarious. Get us wear like a dragon moment.
I should, or have like the brochure or some like programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're the QR code.
That's funny. You know, because I was gonna say I have like my 2-song maximum, but it's from a completely opposite direction.
What?
Mine is just like, I'm only gonna perform 2. Like, I don't want to perform more than 2 because I'm
Really?
good. So I don't want to, like, every time there's a level of bravery, I feel like, and then I'm exhausted. I'm like,
This is in a public setting.
yeah. But for you, it's hilarious. You're like, yeah, I don't want to. I could sing all night, but I don't. Mine's the opposite. Like, I don't want to subject people to more into it myself.
I asked her, like, how do you feel when people are that? Yeah, I love it. I'm like, yeah, commit to the bit, because it's not like some people treat it like a singing. They treat it like American Idol. Do you know? They're like, I'm gonna be the best and I'm gonna win, and I'm like, bitch, we're not in 2005. Calm down. You know, it's like because I do this for my career, and because it's work. When I'm at karaoke, all I'm thinking about is having fun. Yeah, you know, and not just for me, but hopefully, you know, for the whole.
I love when I'm doing like the private room karaoke and it shows like I got a 99, and I'm like, no, I didn't, but thank you. I'm like, I appreciate you gassing me up like that. But that definitely wasn't in my.
When they be sounding good too, then they give him like an 89. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Then your friend who's like killing it, yeah, that's so true.
I always wondered about those like judging systems.
Yeah, how do they work? AI?
Yeah.
Oh, OG AI?
Oh yeah.
We don't know. Well, I mean, obviously you said karaoke at home was something that kind of gave you some of the tools, some of the inspiration to be on a stage. I know you've mentioned in the past that at Cornish, when you were attending there, you felt like in a lot of ways you weren't necessarily getting the tools. I think your quote was, the tools didn't fit your hands. So I was curious, once it went from sort of that informal training you get at home in the living room, performing, learning from just yourself, to learning in a more structured technical environment. What did you mean by that when you were saying the tools didn't fit your hands? And what was it you felt like you had to invent for yourself and maybe for other people that were coming from a place where those tools were working for them?
I didn't see myself or any of my community in the plays that we were studying.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't have a single Asian femme director. I didn't even have a single person of color femme as a teacher the whole time I was there.
Really?
Yeah, all my femme teachers were white women. I think I had one black man as my professor of color at Cornish. So looking back, I know that now. I mean, back then, when you're 18 to 21, 22, all you're feeling, I think, is just like anxiety, because you want to be good, you want people to like you, and you want to pass your class. You're like, why did my friend get better feedback than I did, but we did the same thing, So it's like in my young person brain, I was like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And then I had to remember that I don't actually think there's anything wrong with me. I think there's something else going on. What is it? And I was only able to come out of that anxious fog because of how I was raised. My parents raised me to love myself and to believe in myself. Some of my earliest thoughts is rare. Yeah, rare.
Mom.
Some of my earliest thoughts were being the new kid in first grade, in Alaska, and being so nervous that I wasn't gonna make any friends, but literally being but that's okay because I like myself and maybe I can find some people that I like, versus being oh no, nobody's gonna like me. My parents, my family, they're the ones who taught me that. So then in college, I was oh, I'm not crazy. Maybe I just have never done this before. And maybe the stuff that I'm being given to build this career, it's kind of like the Three Little Pigs, It's just oh, I'm going to make a house out of straw, but I want a house that actually can stand. You know what I'm saying? I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. What I think is interesting about that is, when you talk about, we specifically were referencing shows, how part of a show, when you're coming from a performance perspective, is understanding where the character is coming from, right? One of the most fundamental things for actors. And even when there is representation, it's oftentimes not written by a writer. who is also coming from a place to understand that character, right? It's like a white person writing POC roles or whatever. So even if you are the actor undertaking it, the character isn't necessarily written for you in a way where you have to do this sort of ninja work to go from like, how do I as an actual POC fit into this POC, but was not written from the lens of a POC, and figure out the way they move through the world.
And also, like, one thing I will offer too is that, like, a lot of the plays that were being handed to me by my teachers in an attempt to, like, ease this kind of anxiety I was feeling around representation, that I didn't know that it was that. Yeah. They were plays written by Chinese playwrights. And they'd be like, this is going to help you.
Yeah.
And I'd read it and I'd be like, why do I feel like I'm disconnected from this? And then I started feeling another level of crazy. I was like, but shouldn't I be thankful that I'm reading this play and that, like, some of my representation is in here?
That's something really is wrong with me.
Yeah, something really is wrong with me. And I was like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just like a play about Chinese immigrants, and your family is Filipino. Your family is Filipino-American. This immigrant experience isn't your immigrant experience. You're not crazy, right?
When were you in Alaska for? Then when did you move to Seattle?
Yeah, so I was in Alaska from 4 to 9 years old. Moved back to Washington in 1999. So I was there from 1994 to 1999.
Oh, Alaska.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of Pinoys up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
like
think because of, like, the Air Force, but also
canneries.
the canneries. And I mean, that's why my mother ended up going to work on those boats, because there was, like, already kind of a history in our community of, like, going there seasonally to make money and, like, come back and bring it to the family and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like they call them like the Alaskaderos or the, like,
Yeah.
they were like here we had the Manongs in California, which
Yeah.
is the central California like field workers. Yeah, that's wild. So your mom was an Alaskadero, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
Tight.
My Uncle Ronald was too. I mean, he was the one who went first. And then when he came back,
Oh.
my mom was like, I'm trying to figure out a life for myself and my daughter, but I don't know what to do. And he was like, you should go to Alaska, because I just made all this money. You could, like, strike out on your own with Sarah if you wanted.
Is that Junior?
Yeah, that's Junior. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's awesome.
So that she had an idea that of like what could, like, opportunities in Alaska basically before.
No, she had no idea. But Junior was the one who told her. He was like, you should go do this.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, I just need to work hard and I just need to make money first. And then I'll figure out what I got to do next.
It's so interesting because I feel like this is my first like full conversation with you, but obviously we'll probably see in the show. It's kind of like in a different lens. You know how people feel with the people on social media that I feel like I know them, but like you don't know me. But I know you poured your heart into it, and this is your family history, and I just like know so much about it. That's interesting, and that's like a lot of people's experience probably with your shows with the trilogy too. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So when it goes into like your family story,
Yeah.
you got Dragon Lady, which I'm so sad you.
I didn't see Dragon Ladies. Okay, I'll send you this video.
It's a little epic show, and then you go to this more intimate version, which is Dragon Mama in a roundish space.
Yeah.
Not a full ring, but
Yeah, the thrust.
thrust. Yeah,
Together.
thrust. Yeah.
I didn't know any. We always telling me all about it. I'm like, thrust?
Yeah, because the theater is stuff.
Erupted on that bed.
I'm like, oh.
Did you want it to be in the round, or did you?
I always wanted it in the thrust.
So, but an intimate one,
Yes.
because I don't know if the getting kick could that sue it. So, you said you had to create your own tools. I feel like that's a part of why you told your family story. And like, man, I have so much I want to unpack here.
Yeah.
But as a foundation, my question is, what's it like to have these stories that are told to you that feel like they're a part of where you come from, or maybe who you come from, but then you turn them into this sort of career defining moment for you, right? Where it's this trilogy that people know you for. And these family stories intrinsically become a part of your direct identity all of a sudden, as opposed to just the family stories I know of. What has that been like? Because I feel like they have to become such a deeper part of you than, you know, the way I know my family stories told.
You literally become your mom. And
Everybody, yeah.
Then yeah. No, that's exactly what happens. It becomes, the stories go from something that I just heard around the dinner table during like a holiday family party because I wanted to sit at the adult table and not the kids table. And go from that to then being kind of the thing that pulled me out of my depression and anxiety in undergrad. You know, the thing that pulled me out of this fear that I was never gonna like be an artist. And then it became this like body of work that has really changed my career and has helped me stay grounded every step of the way. You know, these stories, doing these shows reminds me the importance of storytelling as a community tool. What storytelling can really do for people, not just for me. And you know, it's funny because when I was little, my grandma, she'd always be like, you're going to be famous. You're going to be famous. You know, you're going to win Star Search. Everybody thought I was going to become like a pop star. Nobody knew that I would be making these plays about our family. And people would be like, oh, Sara Porkalob? Sara Porkalob? She's that girl. I mean, like, they didn't know that that's what was going to happen. I didn't either. I really just wanted to make something my senior year of undergrad that I could be proud of because I hadn't made anything in the last 4 years of school that I actually could stand behind. And it felt so weird and scary knowing that I was about to graduate and be a real artist. But like my frontal cortex wasn't fully developed. You know, I'm 22. I had like $15,000 in credit card debt. I had like $80,000 of student loans that I was going to have to pay back. And I didn't know where I fit in the industry. And I wasn't about to move to New York and do cattle calls and go down to a size 4 and be a chorus girl because I'm not a good enough dancer for all that. I wasn't going to go to LA and try to make it in the movies and TV because I had heard about like the corruption in Hollywood and even back then, pedophilia. I was like, I don't think that I could do this. But I know that I love storytelling. Maybe I should just challenge myself and try to make one story, one thing that I could be proud of. Fast forward to now.
Were you ever afraid to? So I think I really believe something people don't think about artists, storytellers, musicians is when they tell deeply personal stories that externally you're like, wow, there's this amazing thing. But as the creator, you have to basically choose like, hey, I'm going to be airing out a lot of personal stuff that people I know are involved with. And maybe some of them are cool with that. They're not going to be super pumped that I'm going to tell this to an audience. Did you ever encounter any of that? Was your family like cool with it? Did you ever have any fears about telling those stories?
If I had fear, it wasn't around the like, oh no, I shouldn't be doing this because I knew my family has been wholly supportive. Yeah, from the beginning. They were surprised. They'd be like, damn. But they weren't ever like, how could you shame us? You've shamed our family for generations. They were never like that. You know, my family had secrets, but they weren't secretive. Right?
Mm-hmm.
My family was actually really communicative. Like communication and practicing that and growing it as an actual skill set was something really, really important, very specifically in my household with both of my parents. Right? So then what that meant is that like, as I'm putting these stories together, I'm not having any fear over here being like, don't do this. Your family's going to be so mad at you. I'm actually having some fear over here being like, oh God, well, how do I market this? Like, I only have Facebook. Like, how am I going to fill this theater? Like, am I going to make money? Like, what about my day job? Right? I'm thinking like that. I'm thinking like, I mean, at 21, I was already thinking as a businesswoman. Yeah. Thank God. And so, yeah, I never had any fear around spilling the beans.
not with any characters.
I think some. Like with my mother, I was just like, damn, I really be putting my mom's business out there. So she'll be like, you have to. You can't sugarcoat it. Yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I can't sugarcoat.
Where does she get that? Because that's not typical of a lot of Filipino families. Where did she get just that supportiveness, that openness?
My mom's a badass.
Okay, so
We know. And your grand and Lola too.
That's smart. My grandma, she's an intense woman, you know? She's even said that she wasn't like the best mother that she could be, but like so many Lolas, they did what they had to do. My grandmother escaped martial law in the Marcos regime. She left behind a life of sex slavery. Not just her, but her sisters were being comfort women, sex slaves during like the Japanese occupation, right? Like she came to America, she raised 5 kids. And when she died, she had her whole apartment cleaned and organized because she didn't want us after death to deal with any type of mess. You know, I think that says something about the spirit of this woman. It says something about her determination, her resilience, and her thoughtfulness. Like she wasn't the perfect mom. She made some fucked up mistakes, you know? And each mistake she made with her children was different from the last one. So that's why everybody has like a different perception of my grandmother, right? But she persevered. And so that strength, I think, was definitely passed on to my mom. Definitely. And then my mom, you know, she was struggling. She had to assimilate. She's just like, okay, immigrated here when I'm 6, but I'm American, but I'm not like American enough. But I'm Filipino, but I'm not like Asian enough for the white people. And I'm gay. Oh, God. Right? And then she met Tina.
Intersectionality.
Yes, exactly.
Upon there.
Yeah, but then she met Tina, my other mom. And Tina is a Black American woman who grew up very similarly to my mother, yet different. She's the oldest of 4 siblings. Her mother, my Nana, very creative, ambitious woman who was also, like my grandmother, restrained by the social norms of the time, which is, as a woman, you stay home, you have babies. And my grandpa on that side was also very conservative. He was in the Air Force. You know, he didn't want my Nana to have a job. He was also, like a lot of men of that time, like neglectful and verbally and sometimes physically abusive.
Yep.
So, like, I had mothers who were the oldest of their siblings who had amazing, talented mothers of their own raise me. That's of course I ended up this like of course I ended up this way. I got this dope ass Black mom. I have my Filipino mother, and they're both like, we're not gonna give you the trauma that our parents gave us. We're gonna love you and support you. Like, thank God I didn't end up like selfish and weird.
Yeah.
I've definitely been like selfish and weird in the past, but like, you know, it's like I could have been a narcissist.
Right.
Yeah, you know, with that much like, but they also were like tough love, you know. They made sure that I like fell down, and they reminded me to pick myself back up, let you figure it out. And they let me figure it out.
Do you feel like you got your like performance stuff from your mom, Tina? Because I only asked because of the show.
Yes.
Like, okay. But you,
Tina.
my thing is like you obviously you are also gifted with like just genetically being able to be gifted to sing. To me, I know your grandma was, but I was like, maybe your mom also real key is like out here performing at the, you know, the private karaoke rooms as well.
Everybody in my family can sing.
Okay.
Like on the Filipino side.
Yeah.
And on the Black side, everybody can sing too. And Tina, not only she's an incredible singer, she's a songwriter. She taught me how to play the electric bass.
Wow.
She's like been in many bands over the years.
She can play for your
Yeah.
Rots opera.
No, I'm like on both sides of my family. There's incredible music ability and creativity.
That's tight. So
Household. Did you realize that?
No, I was like, dee. Then I was in college and I was like listening to my peers and I was like, you guys hate your parents? What do you mean they never said they loved you? What do you mean your mom is your biggest op? She's like jealous of your boyfriends? I was like, what are daddy issues? What's its dad?
Yo, getting 2 moms has gotta be like the most like, yeah, you're gonna grow up hella. You just got 2 parents that fully care about you.
love you, Dad. Love you, Dad. Shout out to my dad. But
I don't bad dad.
Oh shit.
I actually also none at the same time.
I can count on like one hand the times anybody in my family ever said anything disparaging to me. And the times that they did, they apologized for it after the fact. That's crazy. I mean, 3 times. 3 times, you guys, where they were like, maybe you shouldn't do this, or like, maybe you shouldn't wear that, or like, you know, 3 times in my memory.
yeah, you said your mom, like there was one time where she was like, maybe And then you were like, what the fuck? I was born to be a star. What are you talking about? How am I gonna do that if I'm a nurse? And she was just like,
Yeah, you're like, you know what? Yeah. Yeah. No, she was like, you should go to school to be a pharmacist. Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean, mommy? Because, applying for FAFSA stuff. She was like, well, you can still do acting on the side, but then you could work anywhere and have good benefits. And I was like, mommy, I might play a doctor on TV one day. I'm not going to pharmacy school. She was like, okay. Okay.
She was like, I was just trying it out. I was
Just see.
Funny, just because I know Trisha's story too. This is a very rare moment where there's 3 Pinoys in a room who all 3 of us didn't have parents that were particularly.
That's
Yeah. Family wasn't like that either, and I know your mom wasn't like that.
no, yeah. I know. I was like, wait, I should have. You should have. Mom, you should have at least forced me a little bit. But I didn't like a little bit. I know. She was like, yeah, explore life outside of corporate.
Yes.
She was a flight attendant, and then it provided us with like a fun lifestyle. She was a single mom. And I grew up in the Philippines, so I had nannies too. So it was just this, like, kind of in some way, except minus the performing arts.
Yeah.
Terrible voice in everybody's part, but just like this Amazonian like wonderland of women. And then I went to an all-girls school, so literally like men what?
Yeah.
And who?
Why are they here? Why are they in my house? Ew.
So, which is not typical, and I know for Kuya too. Your parents were never like, you should be a nurse.
my dad's a painter.
Wow.
So
Yeah, some of the artwork back here.
So
I grew up he had already done all the black sheep of the family work. But even I never hear him really talk about my grandparents being particularly like hard on him. But he's also one of the babies, kind of. He's the youngest boy. So he probably got away with everything.
How many?
Out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he got away with too much. But back to your family, Dragon Mama, the story. I think we both have questions, slightly different questions. Yours is more of a newer experience for theater.
Yeah. So I was a lot of my questions that were going through my head are probably rudimentary to both of you. I didn't grow up around theater, and also I just maybe wasn't surrounded in like the theater crowd. I've had a basic bitch, like non-theater kid. Unfortunately, good for you. That's okay. No, but but now like having being in LA, being exposed to all these things, and then coming to your Quay, I didn't know the premise. Honestly, I didn't. I was like, I want to go into this and then not know anything. And I also hadn't seen Dragon Lady, but I would love that video because I really want to see it. But to me, was
I said you're gonna cry.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I did. I got emotional even with Dragon Mama. But to me, I had, I didn't know what to expect, and also a one-woman show, honestly, because for, again, a basic bitch non-theater kid, I was concerned that, like, how long it would take me to buy into it. To be like, this is the reality. This is one person who's playing 20 characters. And, like, how am I going to be fully in it without, like, just, like, not being used to kind of that format. But immediately, I was sucked into the story. Truly. And this is with someone who's, not very familiar with theater. I didn't know the thrusts and the...
The round.
Yeah,
the first scene.
I didn't know any of that. Yeah. But so coming into it was with this perspective, it was mesmerizing. I loved it so much. This experience really, I think, has changed, honestly, like how I view theater, and like my new like eagerness and yearning for theater. But yeah, so like to me, a lot of the questions were technical, but also I guess in the topic of family. I'm wondering, because you had a really good relationship with your mom, but I'm sure you had maybe your own journey as well with your family. Like, how was it therapeutic to write that? Because you really embodied your mother, and I imagine for someone who may have had like a more challenging relationship with her mother that might be emotional and even like therapeutic and healing to kind of humanize your mother. And, you know, we tend to put our moms like on a pedestal growing up.
Yeah.
But then seeing her as a human, I feel like that whole journey.
I mean, and you articulated it perfectly, where putting myself in the shoes of my mother and writing this like chunk of her life as a play has helped me contextualize her as a person outside of her role as being my mother. How often are we walking around remembering that our parents were people before we came into their lives?
Yeah.
Like, their life didn't start when we were born. In some ways, maybe a part of it ended when we were born. Do you know what I mean? But like, she was a woman with hopes and dreams. Like, she made mistakes. She fucked up. People let her down. She succeeded and wasn't recognized for it. So the act of just working on these plays for so many years and performing hundreds of drafts of these plays for thousands of people has been an act of empathy. You know, it's like I can't close my heart to the people in my life and the people in my play, especially when they're still here, walking around, learning, growing, making mistakes, making me angry. I'm making them angry. You know, in some ways, I'm like, gosh, I sure love Dragon Mama. This is amazing. And then me and my mom have a fight, and I'm like, you know, it's like, but that she's a person. She's a real person. This play is the play.
You got the version that makes her look bad and the version that makes her look good. You're like, which one am I performing tonight?
So to answer your question, it's like it is. I don't know if it's therapeutic, but it's taught me so much about them that like it has really built this muscle in me where I can go, okay, I think I know why you're being this way, and even if it affects me negatively, I can see that part of you, and I can have some empathy for that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay, actually. I'm not actually hurt. Or on the other side, being like, I know why you're this way, and you're really fucking it up with me right now. And I'm going to hold you accountable because I love you so much. Can you show up for me? You know? And what's so beautiful about that second one is every time I've done that, my family has been like, yes, I'm going to show up for you. I'm sorry I was that way. I mean, sometimes it's taken a couple of weeks. But never, especially since I've been writing these plays, it used to be that my parents would get in a fight, not my parents, aunties and uncles, grandma, whatever, would get in a fight. They wouldn't talk to each other for months. Then I started doing these plays, and everybody was like, how do you know it was
My gosh, it was therapy for them. Whoa, I didn't think of it.
Eddie? I'll tell you a story. The first time I ever did Dragon Mama was in Boston. Everybody's seeing it for the first time, right? It's very emotional. It's very new for me. So I'm still like learning the thing. At the end of it, my mom, my grandma, my auntie Anna, my auntie Lily, they're all like, and I'm like, you guys want to go out to get some dinner and some drinks? And my mom is like, I need to go back to the apartment. I need to smoke a joint. And I was like, are you okay? And she just hugged me. She was like, thank you. She goes, I'll see you guys later. So she just needs some alone time. So then me, my auntie Lily, my auntie Anna, my grandma, we go to like this Irish pub nearby. We have some fish and chips, whatever. I noticed grandma's like a little bit quiet. My aunties are like, okay, so you did this thing. And here's a question. I love that. Wait, why did you, they loved ice. I cannot play. And I noticed my grandma has like called the waiter over twice, and the waiter has brought over like a Coke. We realized later it was like rum and Coke. She had gotten 2 rum and Cokes quietly. And I was like, what is she doing? And so we're talking. There's a lull in the conversation. And then we hear my grandmother. She goes, I want to say something. And we're like, "Ooh, yeah? 'Cause she's been very quiet. And she looks at my auntie Anna, my auntie Lily. She goes, I didn't know it was like that for you guys. And my auntie Anna's just like, oh God, what's happening? What's happening? And I'm like, what's going on? And she was like, I did not know what my children were going through when I was gone. And then she said, I'm sorry. And I'm just like, this feels kind of like a big deal. But of course, my aunties were like, it's okay. Da, 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 da. And as we're walking back to the apartment, my auntie Anna kind of, we kind of lagged back. And she was like, that was the first time your grandmother has ever apologized for anything. I said, what?
She goes, she's never acknowledged that it was hard for us growing up. She'd always be like, you had it better than me. And I was like, are you for fucking real? She goes, and she was crying. She was like, she's never apologized. So then we get to the house. My mother's like, calm down a little bit. And she's like, oh, how was dinner? My grandma went directly to her. My grandma like got down on her knees and held my mother's hand and said that she was sorry. And they just like cried together and like they cried together in like the living room. They just like talking and stuff. Now here's the thing. They still got into fights after that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're still like, but like that had never happened in my family before. So I was I didn't know that seeing my plays would do that to them.
Did you foresee that at all?
No. I had no, it's so funny because I think some people, when they meet me, they're like, they're really confident. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people aren't into it. Some people are like wired that way. And I think, some people are threatened by it because they like can't perceive that I could be so confident.
Yeah.
But thank God that I was raised the way that I was raised, because I'm not so confident that I assume that everybody's going to love my work. I'm always like, I don't know how people will feel about it. I like it. That's enough for me. My team likes it. That's enough for me. So when my family saw it, I hoped that they, like, the best thing that I was hoping for is that they would go, oh my God, you listened. You were listening to us.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they would go, how did you know that it felt that way when you weren't even there? Like, you weren't born yet. Like, and my auntie Lily, she was like, I never thought anybody would care about our story. I didn't think it was unique. And I'm like, I think in many ways it's not, auntie. Like, I think a lot of people had hard lives. I just think that perhaps the way that I render it with such specificity, without judgment, and in this really unique solo performance style, I think that's really compelling. I will say this to you. You are a theater newbie, but I'm afraid I've ruined solo performances for you.
I had a feeling nobody doesn't like me. I'm feeling, I'm like, yeah, my fear remains going into a one man, one woman show. Yeah. Of like, how am I going to get into this? Yeah. But now it's not because I'd never seen it, but it's because I've seen you.
Now, here's the thing. There's incredible performers out there.
Yeah.
I think the one thing with solo performance is it gets a bad rap, with theater kids being like, it's just monologuing up there,
Yeah.
But I think that it's so funny because I consider my way of storytelling so theatrical. I'm trusting you to go with me, and I don't go, are you there? Are you there? I just take you there.
Yeah.
I just take you there. But I think that, I've tried to teach people how to perform the way that I perform. Actors who are like really seasoned and really experienced, and the way that their brains explode when I have them play 2 or 3 different characters, they're just like it's a brand new muscle. Like, I didn't learn how to do this in school.
I was blown away because you start off like just firing your different characters. Yeah. I would glitch. I was like, how is she junior one split second and the next a different character and then another? And you were just going. It's very technical.
Yes.
And so the presence you have to have, I feel like, in your brain, like to be fully in that moment, in that scene, in that story, which is obviously the job of an actor, but that's just like a master class, I feel like. And this is me speaking from like, I have like no experience whatsoever.
No.
But just from an audience perspective, I was just blown away at how you were switching so quickly.
Yeah.
How are you not glitching? That's crazy.
I just have a question about the characters.
Yeah.
So this is just a fun one from like an acting perspective.
Yeah.
Obviously you get this time to write and flesh out, your main stars of the show. So I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One is, do you know when you've written a character that's going to be a crowd favorite, And the other is, do you sometimes have more fun with the small kind of, I don't want to call them inconsequential. You're a great writer, so no one is inconsequential, but you don't necessarily have to make them as grounded or as directly related to the people that you are representing on stage. You kind of get this fun, the nurse delivering the babies, kind of like this, has some New York attitude, she got her nails, you could just see it, right? Yeah. So do those are my two questions. One, do you know when you write a character that's just going to be a crowd favorite, even if it's not necessarily a main character? And two, do you sometimes have more fun with those little small bit roles?
You know, I never write something and go, the people are gonna love this.
Yeah.
More often than not, I write something and I go, I love it. Like
I wrote a Mercutio.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her so much. And the answer is I love playing them. I mean, for until I started writing myself into my own work, I've never played a lead. You know?
Right.
You know, I haven't booked like a feature film. I haven't booked like a reoccurring or principal role on TV. Da 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 da. I had like a lead on my Broadway show, but I was like a supporting lead. So all that to say is, I'm used to playing character tracks. I'm used to playing an ensemble track of like 2 or more people. I love that shit. I love it. It's so fun. So the second that I get to be that nurse,
Yeah.
I love it. You kidding me? The second I get to be a weird like gay doctor, like come on, that like this. The thing is, like you said, some people would think that they're inconsequential when in reality is they're very necessary. Yeah. And I mean, like, let's get woo-woo about it. You can zoom out. You can look at your life. If we were to watch like a feature film of your life, be kind of incredible to see how many of the people that you don't remember, I don't remember, who have actually had an impact on us. Like where we are right now, we're the amalgamation of every single person we've interacted, every place we've ever been. And that's all facts. And some people walk around being like, what am I going to do tomorrow? And I'm like, whatever you want, girl, whatever you want. So I love playing these small characters. They're like the spice of life. They're like some zest on a salad. You know what I'm saying? And I think about it as I go, the second that this gets turned into like a TV show and those roles are going to be played by other people, I want everybody to come to any character that I've ever written with a sense of joy and a sense of play, because that's how I approach my characters. Like, I think that's one reason why in Seattle, I was getting cast in a lot of other plays and musicals, because once people saw me do my own work, they're like, oh my gosh, she can literally do anything. Like, I can make 100 different choices in like 5 minutes if you wanted me to.
For it actually transform too.
Thank you. So yeah, I never know. I'm never like, people are gonna love it. I always think my characters are funny, which is why I write them. You know, there's not a single character that I've written down that you saw last night that I'm like, man, who cares? Because if I feel that way, then they don't believe.
You've done so many. You've been workshopping. I don't even know if you would still consider. Do you still consider it to be in a workshop phase, or because you've been doing it for quite a few runs now, right? It's like in a complete phase right now.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you've done all that vetting of the.
But I'm still learning. Like Arlene, the character of Arlene, she's like
That's one who was like, she's a crowd pleaser. People.
Honestly though, I didn't know people would like her so much.
Really?
Well, I've like really developed her in this draft, because she used to be way mean. Like in the earlier drafts, there was like these other scenes where she was just like a bitch. But now she's just kind of like, oh my god, just down to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, the whole you guys, when I put my hair up, people, I do the
when you were like, and also the click.
yes.
Oh, the bits were funny.
Good chunk click. I love that. And I think why people like that, because at first you're like, what do you mean people like that? But I think it's because by that point, everybody's on the ride with me. They're like, what is she gonna do next? But sometimes they're not even seeing me. They're seeing the characters.
Well, I still says seduced by her. Like, I felt like as an audience member, like, I can see why she falls for it. Is this like, you're young, like that's the exact energy you want to be with, you know?
Fun, free. Like she broadened my mother's horizons, you know? She was like, you get to have fun. You get to be hot, you know? My mom's just like, you know? Yeah. So yeah, she's a crowd favorite. Greg in Act 2. He's a fan fave.
The manager, right? The carry manager. Yeah, he's a real one. That's why a real one. Yeah.
So I like to think that even my small characters have a really full life story. I get really angry when I see plays or even like TV or films where I see these bit parts that are clearly written just to like advance the action forward. Like I get it.
Like, especially in TV, things can have to be formulaic. But I'm always, when I see that, I'm always like, I crave more backstory. I crave more dimension for all these characters.
Do you do that on the same, or are you able to do that on the same level with this, which is a real life story of real people that you know versus something that you write?
Yeah, as you were meant. Yeah. Yes, it's so much easier to write about the people that I know. Like I'm writing a feature film script, and it's like not at all about my family. It's like my version of a superhero film. It's just hard.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, oh, that's just my mother. Romeo just hired James.
They say to write what you know. Yeah. In that case, it's like Greg. It's like, oh yeah, you are naturally curious about this person who was once in your mother's life named Greg. Yeah. What did he do? What was he like? Versus someone you have to come up with completely on your own. But yeah, again, I don't know how to do it. That.
I think it's something that I'll just have to continue growing and learning. And it also reminds us to be interested in people.
Yeah.
We're just to like people watch and get to know people and just believe that everybody has like a full story.
That's why I feel like writing about people that that's so interesting because if I'm upset at someone, maybe I should imagine like writing their life story because then you empathize with them.
There's actually an assignment that I give my students, like if I'm teaching people, I offer like workshops on like autobiographical storytelling. And an assignment that I would give people, it's like a little writing exercise, and then we turn it into a performance piece where, like, I want you to think of an argument that you had with somebody. Could be recent, could be 10 years ago. You just have to remember what it was. Write down the characters, write 2 sentences about what the argument was about. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to give you 5 minutes to write from the other character's perspective why they're right. People hate it. But then at the end of it, they're like, oh God, I learned something that I didn't know, and now that I know what I'm different. I'm like, haha, that's the point.
Damn it, I'm a better person.
Yeah, damn it. Or if I'm not a better person, then at least I know that I could be. Yeah. So listening, it's so funny because I play everybody, yes, and yet every night I'm like listening for something new from them so that when I play the next character, I can respond to the something new. Like that's what happened last night. I was so tired that instead of being like, oh, I have to get all of these notes right and I have to do, I literally was just it's truly flow state. I was like, oh my God, that character has never said it that way before. So now as this character responding, I'm responding in like a different, more active way. That felt great, felt good.
Is that something that you feel like, did you feel like you found that tool? Or, versus, okay, it happened. I have an awareness of it now. Now, do I understand how I am able to integrate that on a consistent basis for myself?
Yeah, that one. And it's so much about like reaching flow state is about letting go. I was like so tired that my brain had already let go of the stuff that I was holding on to the last couple of nights. So then I was like, cool. Just like with boxing,
It's counterintuitive.
Well, yeah, it is. It's so, everything that I do is so technical. It's so specific. I have to be so that I don't lose you.
Yeah.
I have to be to open the door for you to go on the ride with me. And I have to let go of the technique, and I have to like remain open to what the story and the characters are revealing to me each and every night. And I can only do that because I've worked so hard to make the technique muscle memory.
Yeah.
That's muscle memory.
I love you said that, coming from, I know we've talked about boxing, but also coming from an EMS background, right? You drill all these things, right? Because when you're on a call, you're on a 911 call, there's chaos everywhere. But you have these very extremely technical skills that you need to apply to someone. And what we essentially do is we practice it so many times, like as a crew or as a team, or that particular medical intervention, you practice so many times when it's all happening, you enter that flow state because you don't think about it.
Yep.
Body's naturally moving and doing the things it has to do.
And I tell this to my young students all the time because they're always just like, how did you do it? And I'm like, how many minutes do you spend a day rehearsing that thing? And they're like, and I'm like, no wonder it's hard for you because you don't work at it. And then of course they're like, oh. And I'm like, baby, why are you mad for me telling you what you already know? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You already know that. Why are you mad? Why are you mad at me? Or are you mad at you? Or you mad at the fact that you're not, right? Like, you mad at the fact that you're not getting it, like, right away? That's not how real life works. Maybe if you're a Nepo baby, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like hard work, repetition, putting in that time. Like, this is why I think playing a sport or being a part of a team effort at a young age, or even learning like a technical skill, or how about this, working in a kitchen. I think that every young person, it'd be kind of cool if we could have this program where every young person has to work in a kitchen. Because when you're a part of the line, you learn just how unimportant you are and yet how integral you are to a team.
You're winning the dominoes.
Yes, yeah. And it's just so funny that, like, yeah, I'm the only one on stage, but I'm thinking like that. And I have my incredible design team and my director and my audience there with me, and we're all in it together. So I have to do my fucking job.
Right.
You know? I think it's really weird to me when I meet other adults. You know, I'm about to be 37. I meet other adults and they're like, and they're like complaining about something. And then I'm like talking to them, and then I realize, oh, well, you're complaining because you're not actually doing the work. Do you know that you're not doing the work? Yeah, a lot of people don't do the work. And, you know, again, could be they were raised in an environment where they didn't know how. You know, could be they're used to other people doing all the work. I don't know. I know hard work when I see it, especially when it looks easy, because you know how hard somebody has worked to make that shit look easy.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was my experience, like, watching your show, of thinking of all the things that have had to go in order for all this to happen. Because when you're seeing a stage, from my perspective, it's nearly, by the way, backdrop. Ooh, beautiful though, right? Oh, my design is really good.
Yo, my dumbass.
What?
I'm so stupid.
What do you mean?
It wasn't until the end of, like, till we went to intermission
Yeah.
that it, like, the lights went dark and I was like, it says mama.
Yeah, he said that. I was like, that's crazy. And now we're in.
I was just like, coming in, I was like, look, these cool, like, club triangles, whatever. And then the fucking lights went down and I was like, you dumbass. It says mama on it.
That's what is it kind of supposed to feel like?
No, I know, but I was like, I can't believe it took me this long.
But
I was looking at it as shapes, like,
it's okay. No, but that's the metaphor of design. Like, my set designer did that on
no, it's
purpose.
beautiful. I love this.
Yeah, because we wanted it there, but we wanted it to disappear at the same time. So when you come in, you're like, am I looking at shapes or is that a word?
Yeah, and then it becomes lines.
Yes. Yes. No, exactly. It transforms. The space transforms with the way that I transform.
Yeah, which is really interesting to witness, because everything I'm seeing, it's a production in the sense of there's costume, and then there's backdrop, like on TV, film, or even like some plays. This is a stage. You, not to like overly describe this, because I want everybody to see it, but backdrop, chair, yeah. Your costume, you don't do like costume changes in every, you tend to just vary mild. Hair up, hair down, maybe that's it. Yeah. Yet you fully transform, and I'm fully with you in every setting. But then also the sound effects, the light. Yeah. Wait, is the one like watchy? Yes. Okay. Because you're like pushing a button and it perfectly aligns. Yes. And you're like writing something, and I'm just like, my mic.
Oh, listen, Trish, at the end occurred to me, like, I wish you could see what a stage manager does.
Yeah, so
There's somebody up there with a headset, like, calling cues.
So I'll tell you, this might be good for people. We have spent about 70 hours in what we call technical rehearsrsal. And that's where we are building the lights, the sounds, the set design elements, the timing of everything. And like Willie said, there's somebody like, okay, so I'm on stage, and if I look up, there's a huge window, and up there's a booth, and there's my stage manager, and there's two people, one operating sound, one operating the lights. My stage manager has a script, and it has all these notations being like sound 42, lights go. He's my scene partner, as he's watching me go, and he's having to call it. Like, he's watching me be like transforming in a transition. He's having to call the transition. And my designers for the last week, over 70 hours, are timing everything to happen in relationship to what I'm doing. They're working real hard.
It also, there's whole rehearsals that are just for the technical typical elements where they flub something up. They're like, "Hey, sorry, Sarah, can you take it back to da 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 da?" And then really transitioning it. So it's not even for her
Do
necessarily.
you fully perform though in those situations? Most of the time, I'm doing something called marking, which is I'm just going through the motions. Yes. So like for the last 70 hours last week, I'd just be on stage in my costume, just waiting for them to tell me where to go from. Oh, you start from the beginning to the end. Girl, let me tell you, sometimes you be running the same 3 lines 10 plus times over just to get the timing right. Oh, like the technicals, all the layers, all the tech.
For the lights in the wrong spot, or they decide to add like a color of it.
Yeah.
Sound cue is weird. And
And today, when I go back to rehearsal, we're going to be working some of the notes on like some scenes there wasn't enough face light, or my stage manager got confused, so the cue was called da 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 da.
you know, your sound person, somebody in your sound booth. Or do you just have one sound person?
Steph.
Steph.
You know Steph.
She's my old roommate.
Oh, funny. What? Yeah,
You saw Steph. Steph was the last person to walk up when we were talking to my other friends there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Steph. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, Steph is incredible. I love working with them.
Yeah.
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 Man, but yeah, I was my mind was blown because you would make the most subtle movement and it would come with sound. So, when I'm like editing on my little videos, like let's say on TikTok, you see the precision of that, right? Yeah, it's like when I say this sound has to go on. But this is like live. Yes. And I'm like, surely this is not pre-purported. I love it when the Walkman moment is revealed. Yes. Because of course, what am I holding in my hand? You don't know. And then you're like, what is she doing? And then the mute volume, and then the volume goes up, volume back. I get to hear people being like, I get to hear it. And I was hostless for it out. Nobody but.
That's funny. Well, I mean, you created this whole show out of this drive to create your own tools. I also know you said in college, you kind of almost gave a middle finger your senior year and you're like, I'm gonna do shit my way, because you've also had some instances when you're doing 1776 on Broadway of just being very authentic with how you felt. Some people might call this defiance. Some people might call authenticity. For you, do you think that sort of authenticity, do you think defiance, the willingness to share your voice, do you think that's something that's necessary to create profound art? And then my last kind of question to kind of sum up everything is, what has your evolution been from wanting to create those authentic tools for yourself with how you view authenticity or defiance as a tool for yourself now?
It's funny because I was raised in a household that really valued moral alignment. What that meant was you had a set of morals and principles that you live by, and that actually manifests in your personal actions, your interpersonal actions, and like every other area of your life. So I didn't grow up really in a household that had a whole bunch of hypocrisy or even sarcasm. Like my family would roast each other, but we would never be fake mean the way that I feel like some sarcastic people are. And I get to college and I'm like, oh, people say one thing, but then they do another? Why? Oh, people say they want that, but then they don't do anything to support that? Oh my God, they're doing the exact opposite. Like the way that it blew my mind, you guys. I literally was like, oh, y'all are a bunch of fakes. And I was like, no, wait. Maybe they're not fakes. Maybe they just don't realize the disconnection between what they believe and what they're doing. A lot of that's coming out, Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And we're realizing it. I like the really high level political, cultural levels, the social levels are very American fabric. People saying one thing and doing the exact fucking opposite. And I have a really hard time of that. I have really hard. There's nothing that gets me raring to fucking go when somebody says one thing and does another. And what that means for me, for better or for worse, is I can often be uncompromising, and I can be oftentimes full of resentment for people and institutions who do that, or who say one thing, don't do it, but then turn around and say that they did it to certain people. Does that make sense? So it's like, it's not necessarily lying, but I'm literally like, I think there's just a way that your brain works that you don't realize that you're not actually doing what you said you were going to do. And that drives me crazy. That drives me crazy. So all that can be traced back to my childhood home, can be traced back to my parents. Now, some people call it defiance. Some people call it authenticity. What I do know at the end of the day is that I'm human. I make mistakes. And I never, ever want to be risk averse to the point that I'm compromising my morals and my principles. There's nothing that I would compromise my morals and my principles for. I'm going to get canceled for saying free Palestine? Okay. From the river to the sea, babe. Yeah. Like with the Vulture article, for example, 1776. I haven't had any press trading, you know? So I think maybe if I had, I would have said certain things differently.
Okay.
At the same time, that journalist was coming to me as a multi-hyphenate, as somebody who's made my own work, who's been a director, a producer, etc. And I think a lot of the issues that people took with that article was the fact that I was new to Broadway, that in their eyes I was nobody, I hadn't earned my way, and that I was torching my career by being disrespectful to my collaborators. There were definitely things that I could have said and should have said differently that would have been more respectful to my collaborators. And at the end of the day, the journalist asked me how I felt about the process of being on Broadway when I was used to making my own work. And I said ultimately that Broadway was disappointing. And a lot of people didn't like that. They didn't like that. They didn't like that I had, in their opinion, the audacity to say that I was giving 75% to the show. And I'm like, well, you go do it. You go do it. You know, the fact that like you're focusing on the 75% remark when I think I gave some really like insightful critique of the process, but maybe you're just not like literate enough to understand that, you know? And then I think that a lot of people had really valid concerns, you know? Like that interview did some harm to my cast. I didn't realize that like a lot of the critique that was in the article was hurtful to my teammates. I had thought because we had been in the rehearsal process together, they would understand my tone and my perception.
Yeah.
You know? But I think that like what I learned is that a lot of people really, really value Broadway and they believe that there's ways that you should conduct yourself professionally. And according to them, I didn't do that. Therefore, my access to Broadway should now be revoked and taken away. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is just kind of like consequences of my own actions, but I'm not going to be sorry for that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not actually sorry for that. I learned a lot. Like, thank God. It was such a valuable learning lesson for me. You know, I made some mistakes. I hurt some people. You can't avoid doing that. You know, you can't avoid doing that. And I would much rather learn from my mistakes, being authentically who I am, and having to constantly compromise aspects of my identity for the fucking industry.
Yeah.
I'm not here for the industry. I'm here for the people. And if the industry wants to give me money and resources and believes in my work, stunning and fantastic. That doesn't mean that I put them on a pedestal. What they want is me at the end of the day, right? And if they say that they want me, then they can get on me. And if they don't want me, they can fire me. Right. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, you can't say you weren't truthful to yourself.
And I don't want to die having regrets about that. You know? Like, I don't want to be like, man, I wish I had stood up against, you know, so-and-so. Because also think about it. When you think about harm and levels of harm, and I have to ask myself, what harm am I truly accountable for? And I think, you know, unfortunately, when something goes viral, there's like a scale of response that feels really big and you feel like you have to respond to it. And I definitely felt like I had to. Yeah. That kind of messed me up for a while, being like, oh, I'd never had this kind of like scale of accountability when a lot of it was just like the haters on Twitter telling me to kill myself. I was like, geez. And you know what I'm saying? I was like, ooh. No, you know, yeah, now that I look back, I'm like, what do you, oh, you know, you guys, it's also okay that they don't like me. It's okay that people thought that I was arrogant. It's okay that people thought that I was disrespecting my team, that they're allowed to feel that way.
Were you okay at the time?
No, I was like pissed at the time.
But I also feel like there's a couple things. One, people think, no, I don't want to generalize. Let me not say that. It's easy to maybe perceive a lot of the entertainment industry as somehow being, more forward thinking, more progressive, whatever, because it's arts, right? It's art, but it's still at the highest levels. It's still a machine that's looking for complicit people to fit into their framework and do things the way they like to do it. And when someone like yourself, you go, well, I see you're doing some work, but actually, here's all the ways I don't really see the work you're claiming to do being done. That one is gonna rub right the machine the wrong way. But also, let's keep it a buck. When you're talking about musical theater, there's a very hefty demographic there who also doesn't want certain types of people speaking up, which is it's a lot of like white America. The people that I mostly, and I'm sure you went to theater school with, they were all these like kids from the suburbs that grew up going to like theater camp their whole life and stuff. I was coming from a school with like zero money where like our theater we had like paint peeling off the ceiling, I had no way to really compete with them from this place of coming up in a like a theater world. And so, I'm sure for a lot of them too, seeing this a person of color speaking out against a show where they're like, but they cast it all. There's a lot of that rage comes out of being called out also.
And I think, for my industry, Broadway is the dream. It's like the capitalist heart of theater is Broadway. And I think people were really upset by the fact that like I got there and I was like, it's all right. It's a paycheck for me. Which is, it's hard because it's like, I want to be free to say that and not have people on Broadway be like, that ungrateful bitch. I'm like, whoa, you're allowed to like Broadway. You're allowed to love it. It's okay.
Right.
And maybe I'll have a good Broadway experience one day. Like, sure, I love seeing plays and I think that people are working hard, but like, damn, my experience isn't your experience. But again, I think that people are like threatened by confidence. I think people are like, the audacity. Who are you? You're not Patti LuPone. You're not allowed to have an opinion. And I'm just like, I don't know if anybody told you this, but you're allowed to have an opinion, Laura. I'm allowed to have an opinion. We're allowed to be like, maybe this machine is complicated. Maybe we get to choose every day, every moment, how we want to interact with something. Isn't that what free will is for? I just feel like people don't use their free will enough. That's or even their brain. In my opinion.
Where I'm from, we have a saying for haters, and it goes like this: "Shut your bitch ass up." That's what. Anytime I see shit about me online, I'm like, "Shut your bitch ass up." I don't fucking know you, bro. Like, shut the fuck up.
And I'm also just like, all right, I think I used to be like in my 20s. I used to put so much energy into being angry at these people. I'm being like, if only we could educate them, they'd be different. Or if only like we protest enough outside of this white institution, they'll change their blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, man, I'm tired. And I was like, whoa, what if I use my energy instead for making what I want?
Yeah. Hey.
But you did. And I did. Like, you're outside the club. You're not inside. You can hate out there. So yeah. So it's like, even now I'm like, oh, white people are bad? Whatever.
I love it. Well, still got your money.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be any different. You're still gonna be doing the same thing.
Yeah, And I think the one thing too that I want like the white people to remember is that white supremacy hurts them too.
Oh, for sure.
It hurts them too. And if they could just realize that this weird fascist American identity that they're holding on to, they're gripping with their nails, if they could just let that go, they could start to like live in an identity that's like more true and more inclusive and is actually better for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are really holding on to this crumbling ideology and your heroes are pedophiles. Like, you're falling for the same Middle East propaganda that our parents or our neighbors fell for in like, what, 2001? Like, you didn't learn anything?
Meanwhile, you're still broke, so.
Yes, that too. So,
That's just as y'all are. Like,
I'm just like, white people get like, there are some good white people, I'll admit it too. There are some like brown people. Just because you're brown doesn't mean you're down. But that's also because white supremacy, it hurts everybody. It fucks everybody up. We have to all be working towards the same goal. We might not be standing in the same place, but we're looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what we have to just remember and realize.
Okay, well, I love that. I promise to get you out of here at a certain time. So I know you got rehearsal and things like that too. But I appreciate the conversation. With that 5 minutes though, well, I guess first we should just say, I guess we're wrapping. We appreciate you for being on.
And 5, 6, 7, 8, sweet.